I think the more the merrier. Awesome. So yeah, take us away.
So you have, in Reality, currently you have 3 different dashboards. The most interesting one to have single amounts currently is definitely the page summary. There's one that is currently not working. I have had no time to look detailed into it, which is the leaderboard. There you have also then detailed statistics on which is the worst ranking page, and all the different pages are matched against each other. So the page summary gives you all the detailed views of a specific page inside a group. So we have currently 3 groups running. We have about gitlab.com, so the homepage itself is monitored with the starting page, the company page, the team page, the handbook page, and the stages DevOps lifecycle page. So that we have a couple of pages just for the homepage, especially as sometimes we have people drop in 10 megabyte JPEGs. Then we are running everything against dev GitLab.org, so everything that is currently simply public and is accessible without any logins or tokens. So we are running a couple of pages there, and then the main run is gitlab.com, and there we are currently measuring those all pages. The only problem that came into my way, which is awesome, is the single code base, but now we have a couple of multiplications. So we still have the numbers from the CE boards, but of course, which is more interesting is now the GitLab boards numbers. There you can see the different visual metrics from the first visual change to the last visual change. So this is basically where you saw the first thing, and this is where you saw the last thing appearing on the screen. It got way more stable than in the past. So in the past, we have seen that it was fluctuating a lot. So we still see that from time to time, and this is the interesting part. I think that we should be able now to actually figure out what's going on there. Is what you can do is, as soon as you activate up here runs, then you have all those green lines. And if you take now a look on one of the runs, then you can basically go here and say open in a new tab, and then you have the full details. Then you have all the data that is there. That means you have the summaries with the min, median, mean, max. You have the waterfalls of all the network renders with all the different limits. So that's where we could see, okay, why is this run so high, even if we never did a deployment or didn't anything else, and why is the other one so fast? We have the different matrix steps, so all the different parts from first visual change to really being fully ready and being able to take in new amounts. You can measure also all the CPU times. That is also quite new in there and really nice, so that we see really what's happening there. There is the bigger stuff that is currently going on the element timings. So that's something that we can also include in there, that different elements can be basically jumping, the classic jumping problem. There is something which I think we have talked about in the past, which is server timings. There is a Chrome, I think it's only Chrome and Firefox by now, but you could send through HTTP headers what we are currently doing with the performance bar, so that we send what took how long on the server side. And this is then also recorded here, so you would basically get the full, okay, how many database calls did we have to how many CSS changes needed to be rendered to the screen. So you could be able to have all the numbers in there for each run. You get tons of more information here, up to GS heap sizes. My favorite part, the slow motion video,
nice.
where you actually see the different parts, how and when they are being happening to the screen. That helps especially on such things like the boards, where you can see, okay, the open query is really taking the longest, and that is basically pushing out then the last visual change. So we have a very fast first visual change, but it still takes quite a long time, with 13 seconds until we have really the last part loading.
Got it.
So perhaps we could go into the code and really prioritize that thing, or we have a really bad query because here it says 16,000 issues that we are trying to take a look at.
Nice. So essentially you have like an instance, those 3 instances, the handbook, dev, and then gitlab.com, and then we have, I want to say, the URL under measurement that you pass to this, and then we kind of measure what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
this is cool. So are you using like a VM for the? Is it like a headless browser, or are you actually
Yeah.
using a VM for a full head?
It is using a VM with a full head in that sense, but it's recording it through the differently for Chrome and differently for Firefox on the different video drivers. And this is then basically put into recording. You have the film strips where you also can see all the details in different images. So this is super exciting. Then you have the coach, which is for me one of the most important parts. So we are also doing accessibility testing against it. We have the performance advisors. So those tell us what we should do about that stuff. You have the best practice advices, the privacy advices, and overall page infos. We can see the different parts that we are currently running, how big they are compressed, transferred, etc. So tons of information. I love this stuff. You have the full trace log, so you can even take the trace from a single run now and rerun it in Chrome DevTools and go in details on CPU stuff, which is also, I think, pretty nice. We have third party, which is currently SiteSpeed thinks that all our CDN is third party. So this is more of a classic website stuff. We have Lighthouse running inside. So we are running the Lighthouse plugin inside SiteSpeed. So every run, also the full Lighthouse Chrome data is basically created and provided, all those numbers. And we are running it also against the Google PageSpeed Insights API. So we are sending to Google PageSpeed Insights, hey, please run that stuff also on your data center and give us all the numbers. And then you get it in there. Yeah, so that this should definitely help on figuring out all the different things. You have also on the top, you have way more stuff, so you can see also through all the runs. So every run is currently analyzing 15 different pages, and there you can see, okay, what are the largest files of each category, assets, and you have a overall how is your site doing in on average compared to all the pages, and like a dashboard still from SiteSpeed. So you have simply tons of data. What you see also in here is then all the different parts, and there we should now see also much better impact on performance changes that we do. So how big is currently the image size, how big is the JavaScript size, compressed and uncompressed, etc. And that should definitely help us on all the different parts. Yeah, so all the data that is in those reports is also on the dashboards. But the most important thing is really now that we can go deep dive into a specific run. Okay, why did this one take much longer than this run? And this should also give us much better insight. Really? Is it the API? Is it the static hosting? Is it the moon? Or is it just load? So
really cool. Really cool. Yeah, I do want to take the new version of this and kind of apply to our reference environment as well. I think it's going to be awesome to see that this changes over time. So for the ones that we're looking at, like I was going to maybe call it as like the production data set, because like we're looking at the handbook, we're looking at the projects, we're looking at dev. How often does this run? Is it like every day? Like how does it?
Every 2 hours.
Every 2 hours, okay.
Yeah, because I want to get good data against the different time zones of how much usage do we, if we have a high time on the US time zone, the European time zone, so that we get good numbers. Because I think in the past we were running it also too less often. So in the sense that you got either completely at night and then you had always great numbers. And this is also why it fluctuated a lot, because as soon as the schedule went off, then you had the problem that suddenly you had completely contradicting numbers, but nothing was changed, nothing was deployed, nothing was done, and this is just front-end data. So this is currently what I would love to figure out. So this is run every 2 hours, but the data is grouped at later stages. So I need to look it up what I've configured it for, but I think after 30 days, all the data is grouped into a couple of hours. So you have basically one run per day. And for the last 30 days, you have more of fine-grained numbers, etc. So
got it. Cool. Really nice. And one other question is, when we put the route, does it go through the reroute as what a browser would do? So if you go to the link, I see. Got it. So there was an issue, I think, that it might affect the FOSS project. Mm-hmm. I think there was a bug that didn't redirect to /design, so you wouldn't get all the discussions. But I think it's going to be fixed soon, so it might affect some of this data for a short period of time.
I have already updated our URLs on Friday, so this is why you have now in the list of pages now GitLab boards, and you have GitLab CE boards. So the data ends basically for the CE boards ends here on Friday, and since that it's running against the direct GitLab main project, the EE project. So there you see that where it starts and where it ends. But yeah, no, super interesting data.
Awesome. Thanks for showing this. So
faster.
Yeah, exactly. Great. So I'll pass the recording on to my managers. I think it'll be really useful for them to know that this is now the new version looks like this now for us. Like, awesome. Thank you for that. Let me just stop it.